Hello again, and welcome back to the Falling Apart video series. Here we are for part 8, Why Worry? Thank you so much to all of you who have been keeping track of this as we've gone along. Thanks for checking out the album. Thanks for all of the nice, encouraging words of support. It's been really great sharing this experience with all of you guys. Why worry is a tough one. Like a couple of other songs that I've said, throughout the course of this process, Your Last Chance, My Own Best Enemy, it really hits at the heart of a lot of the pain and discomfort of, finding myself in the grips of an addiction. We're fast forwarding a few months from where we left off with parts 6 and 7. This story takes place in November of 2008. I had to sort of convince the administration at the school I was attending that it was worth me coming back for the fall semester. And when I got back, nothing changed. Nothing changed about my thoughts and feelings about myself and my schooling. I still felt terribly not up to the challenge, not from an intellectual or a talent standpoint. I knew I was capable of mastering the material. I knew I was capable of understanding what was being taught to me, but I never felt capable of being engaged enough to prove that. I always felt overwhelmed. Felt overwhelmed at the prospect of having to show up because getting out of bed was so hard, and I was so terrified of everything, of people, of interactions, of myself, and of letting people see me. And a lot of going to school is, letting yourself be seen, either through your words in the classroom or through your writing in the assignments. And I was just never comfortable letting anybody know what was going on in my head and in my heart. They were very dark places and very uncomfortable places, and I was deeply ashamed of the way I felt about myself and of all the fear that I was experiencing. And so, 3 months in, on the other side of midterms, and I'm struggling so hard, and I'm probably failing a couple of classes by that point. And it was election night, 2008. It was the night Obama got elected, and friends of mine and I got together to drink and watch election results come in, because when you go to a school that's kind of in the middle of nowhere, that's what you do. And I left pretty early in the evening. I left, before before we knew who was going to be the 44th president of the United States. And I went back to my dorm room and I drank alone. And it was an historic night, regardless of what your politics are. I mean, that was a huge night for the history of our country. And there was this aliveness to the whole night, to the whole process. There was this buzz about it and this energy, and I couldn't feel any of it. I felt so disconnected. And it felt like the whole world was watching, and it felt like everybody was celebrating, and it felt like there was no way I could come close to touching any of it. I got a text from my older brother who works in Democratic politics, and he texted me, "I'm so proud of our country," and I probably texted him back, "Yeah, me too," or something like that, and I didn't feel that, I felt nothing. What I felt was, what I remember thinking was, there's something in this bottle for me that isn't in there for other people. My friends and I aren't having the same experience when we drink. And that was the first time that I understood that my relationship with substances was different than the average person. And over the following couple of weeks, I noticed it more and more. And I wrote this song about it. I wrote "Why Worry About It." So I'll play you the song, and I'll talk a little bit more about what it was exactly that I was learning about myself at the time, and how I understand it now, coming from 5 years and 2 weeks of abstinence from alcohol and other drugs. Anyway, this song's called "Why Worry." But when the walls close in, I don't know what to do. And when my mind is frozen, I feel my heart freeze too. Why worry when I can get high? Why worry when I still get by? Well, I'm worried every time I get high. It's the only reason When I wrote that song in November of 2008, I had written it in the second person. All the I's were U's. And it didn't really dawn on me. I don't know, it's the same with Your Last Chance, that song's written in the second person, but I'm talking about myself. I was so deeply ashamed and embarrassed of my internal experience that even when I was writing songs about it, I had to pretend that it wasn't me. And it wasn't until I was in rehab for the first time that I started singing that. That I edited it and I started performing it as I instead of you. It became apparent to me in those few weeks that how I was using drugs and alcohol. That they were the means by which I escaped that fear. That I escaped that shame and that embarrassment. And that was, it's contained in the chorus, like I was so perpetually consumed by these doubts and these fears and this persistent anxiety, this persistent sense that the other shoe was going to drop, that impending doom followed me wherever I went. And why worry about all of that when you have this vehicle to escape it, when you have this mechanism that allows you to divorce from that? Why would you worry about it when you have a solution to it? I think it was around that time that I was learning about Eastern religions and Eastern philosophies, and there's a Buddhist expression around something like, the idea is, if your problem has a solution, there is no cause to worry about it. If your problem doesn't have a solution, there is no cause to worry about it. And it's just pointing out the futility of worry. And as someone who is in a perpetual state of worry, anxiety, fear, dread, is a very attractive idea, one which resonates with me today and I think is still applicable and true, but it is impossible to access, from the standpoint of the person who is consumed by the shame, fear, guilt, doubt, remorse, envy, all of these things at all times. How do you then say, don't worry about it? Well, for me, I was able to say, well, don't worry about it by getting high or taking a drink. And there's a lot of, like all of these pieces, there's a lot of really idealistically applicable truth to it. And it can only be accessed, for me, I only have access to it from starting from a place of abstinence and sobriety. I can't pick myself up off the mat when I've got most of my time, energy invested in, here's this solution of getting fucked up. Like, don't worry about all that other shit, just get fucked up. It'll fix how you're feeling. So, looking back on it now as someone who has spent a lot of time invested in the applicable truths of these pieces from a sober standpoint, someone who has made use of the knowledge and wisdom that was available to me then that I couldn't access, I think I have a deeper appreciation for these pieces as And it's so ironic to look at these crisis pieces now and see what opportunity there was. But again, as I was saying last week, the understanding was not, I couldn't have been in touch with the wisdom without going through the suffering. And I couldn't apply the wisdom in the state of suffering. Not getting drunk and high, I would have never chased these ideas as hard as I did. And being drunk and high, I have no way to apply them. So, it's, to me, it can be a deeply disturbing piece. It can be a deeply comforting piece. It can be simply a monument to, November of 2008. It can be my tribute to the election of President Barack Obama. Or, it can be just a little trophy up on the shelf of like, here's the thing that I learned. Here's the thing that I learned about myself and my life. So that's why worry. I feel like I could talk about it for another couple of hours, but that's enough on this subject for now. Come back next week for Would You Mind, which is a really fun piece. Just a lot of joy, and that's got a story behind it too. We'll talk about my first suicide attempt next week, which is fun. But in the meantime, thank you again for giving it a listen. Thanks again for engaging in the material. And as always, if there is any way in which any of this can be of help to you, spread it far and wide. Reach out to me personally. I am happy to talk to any of you about any of this, if it can be at all applied to any curiosity or struggle or difficulty or joy or triumph that you may experience. Don't be a stranger now, all right? I'd love to hear from you. Until next week, take it easy and be safe out there. Thanks. Bye.